Good morning. Today's session is associated with the environmental engineering, and in this session, we will be talking about the topic of air pollution. So, if you talk about the definition aspect of air pollution is defined as the excessive concentration of foreign matter in the air, which adversely affects the well being of individual or causes damage to the property. It also affects plants, animals, and buildings. So we can say that whatever the foreign matters, if it affects the wholesome environment, which having the concept of the human beings, the plant, the flora, the fauna, the vegetation, etc., the animals, which affects their livelihood, their well-being, comes under the category of air pollution. So if we talk about the sources associated with the air pollution, we have two categories. Number one, natural sources of air pollution, and the second one is man-made sources of air pollution. Definitely, the some pollution which is generated in air, the source responsible for is the natural ones, which we don't have much contribution, of course, and the second one is man-made, for which the human beings and the other factors are responsible. So first let us talk about the natural sources of air pollution. So in that we have the products from the atmospheric reactions like chemical reactions, for example oxidation, combination, polymerization, photochemical reaction, etc. comes under this category. The second one is aerosol particles. Aerosols are finely divided solid or liquid particles of microscopic size held suspended and dispersed in atmosphere. They cause visibility reduction, soiling of surfaces, corrosion, etc. The various types of aerosols are dust, smoke, mist, fog, haze, fumes, etc. The next natural sources of air pollution is microorganisms like infect plants and animals. In the same fashion, amongst the categories of the natural pollution, we have the pollens. The pollens are the small grains from the anthers of flowers which may cause allergic reactions. Then comes radioactive minerals, volcanic ash and gases, gases and odor from swamps and marshy lands. Of course, this all belongs to the category of natural pollution. In the same fashion, next in the category we have with us the man-made sources of air pollution. So if we talk about the man-made sources of air pollution, which is basically responsible nowadays for the generation of more quantity of air pollution as the day passes or day by day it is go on increasing, that is the number one combustion of fuels like carbon dioxide, SO2 and NO2, which gets accumulated into the atmosphere. Then comes industries which emits undesirable, not at all desirable gases such as SO2, CO2, NO2, NH3, CO, or in other words we can call it as the family of NOx and SOx. Then comes thermal power plants, This is also responsible in generating air pollution. Basically, they emits sulfur dioxide. Then comes automobiles. The exhaust coming out from the automobiles which we are using, maybe two wheelers or four wheelers or heavy vehicles, such as carbon monoxide, methane, unburned carbon, etc. Amongst them, CO is the main source, that is, carbon monoxide is the main source of air pollution in the congested cities. Then we can say the next category of air pollution generated by the man-made comes under the category of agricultural activities. Like crop spraying and field burning, etc. comes under this one. And then comes the next one is nuclear power plants. So these are basically 6 categories which is responsible for the kind of generating man-made sources, we can say, for the air pollution. This nuclear power plant is basically responsible for emitting a kind of radioactive substances. So just now I have talked about the various sources of air pollution, such as natural as well as the man-made sources. So before going into the depth of the concept of air pollution, let us talk about some terminologies associated with the concept of air pollution. Basically, some important terminologies, such as we have number one is the aerosol. Just now we have used this word while discussing about the natural pollution. So aerosol, it is a kind of a dispersion of solid or liquid particles of microscopic size in gaseous media such as smoke, fog, or mist. The next category is the dust. Of course, well known to everybody. It is a loose term applied to solid particles larger than colloidal particles and capable of temporary suspension in air or other gases. Dusts do not tend to flocculate except under electrostatic forces. They do not diffuse but settle under the influence of gravity only. Then comes the third one is droplet. It is a small liquid particle of such a size and density as to fall under still conditions but which may remain suspended under turbulent conditions. The next is the fly ash. It is finely divided particles of ash entrained in fuel gases arising from the combustion of fuel. The term is generally applied to the gas borne ash from boilers using pulverized fuel coal firing, etc. Next is the fog. It is a loose term applied to liquid dispersed aerosols in air by condensation. Next is fume. It is solid particles generated by condensation from the gaseous state, generally after volatilization from melted substances and often accompanied by a chemical reaction such as oxidation. Next is mist. It is a loose term applied to dispersions of liquid particles in the atmosphere. The dispersion of large size ranging in between 5 to 100. Next is the smoke. It is finely divided aerosol particles resulting from